Welcome to Music City Online with Gary Earl. Tonight our guest is Pete Kennedy, originally from Ireland, now a resident of Nashville. Pete is an acclaimed, award-winning international indie artist, and he won the BCMA, British
Country
Music Award, Album of the Year, right?
Album of the Year in 2012 and 2013.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Hello there, Sophie.
Dog wants to be in this part.
My dog just joined our broadcast tonight. I'm not sure how she got down. Anyway, Pete has a company called KMC Global.
KMC Global, yeah.
And can you tell us, what does KMC Global do?
What we do is we are a company based here in Nashville and in London, and we've got people in Ireland as well. And basically what we do is we work for independent artists, helping them to build their brand, establish a fan base overseas, and to get out there and get some radio play and develop eventually opportunities for touring. And just to give them career opportunities in that part of the world, which is working out really good for some people at the moment.
Terrific. It's great. So you mentioned touring and live performances. So tell us about the touring market in the UK and Ireland. How is it different from here in the United States?
It's different, I suppose, like anywhere. You know, curiosity is always a big factor in touring. So when I come here to the United States to play some shows, there's always the curiosity element of the Irish accent, and people just
right.
just wanting to know, making the connection between Irish and a country artist and all that type of thing, and just trying to see how that wears out. And it's pretty much the same over there, because there's like country music in particular, and pop and everything, but country has a massive audience in both the UK and Ireland, and has had for years and years and years. So everything from back Merle Haggard, Willie Nelson, then to Garth Brooks, and it's there, and the audience always support country music. It's been very successful for most of the artists that have gone over there over the last 10 or 15 years. They've done extremely well.
That's interesting, and I wouldn't have known that, but now that you say it, it makes sense, because Ireland has a rich history of incredible writers, and country music has a history of smart lyrics and good stories in the lyrics. So I can see the connection. Not to mention that country music, I believe, really has its roots in Irish music, Celtic traditional songs.
I think there's some history there, and the time a lot of the Irish and the Scots moved over back all those hundreds of years ago, that they moved to the Appalachian mountain range, and that's where a lot of the bluegrass music started, which obviously came and turned into what is now the American country music and stuff. So we can take a little bit of credit for some of the country music from back there. So but it's steeped in the histories, and Ireland as well, of course, and UK, both very welcoming territories. So they're always very open and very supportive of new people coming in. And I've spoken with Australian artists and artists here from the US who have gone over there, and they were just blown away by the reaction they received from the audiences over there.
That's cool. Don't you just love his accent? I mean, you mentioned, the people being intrigued by the accent and things, but it is. I'm not sure why it is, but almost everyone I know in America does or tries to do an Irish and English accent, and we all do it very badly, but I'm not sure.
Are you going to give us a rendition?
Oh, top of the morning to you, lass. Well, now, I'm more of a Lucky Charms commercial.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh dear, I wasn't going to do it because I know. So when artists from the United States would be touring over there, particular indie artists, what can they expect in terms of payments, for shows?
Well, it's down to what the artist actually commits to themselves first of all. There's with KMC, Audrey is the lady who's working on a lot of the gigs. She's the touring director, if you want to call her that. So she's developed a database of venues over there for the last couple of years, and we've everything from, if you just want to go over and do some singer-songwriter venues, just a small little acoustic venue. If you want to do your regular bars, like just like your honky tonks downtown. And then if you want to get to a stage where you're really serious about your career and you decide to go ahead and start to build your brand in the area and follow up then after some successful promotions and do a theater tour, which is, I suppose you could call it a small theater tour, which will hold on average maybe 200 people per show, which is nice, because it's you get a deal of the door, you know what I mean? So if your tickets are 20 euros a ticket or 20 pounds sterling a ticket, you know, you can do various deals. You can do a split with the theater, maybe 80-20% in favor of the artist, or 70-30% depending on what you want. Most of the venues, those theaters all have their own in-house PA, state-of-the-art PAs, and their own staff as well. So you can actually get very, very good deals over there that keeps the cost of putting on the performance very low.
Gotcha. So you wouldn't have to haul everything over.
You don't have to do that, you know, and we help out. If an artist wants to come over to just do an acoustic tour in the bars and all that type of stuff, we've got PAs, and, you know, we help them out with transportation and all their itineraries and everything like that, so they can get around. But, you know, the money probably it's not bad. You know, if you're doing a bar scene, you can probably expect to get anywhere from $200 upwards for a 2-hour show. And the gigs are about 2-hour shows. What you're looking at doing for that performance is you're looking at doing a lot of covers, you know what I mean? Because it is a bar, it's a venue where you're going to have punters who are going to want to be entertained. Having said that, because both Ireland and the UK are very accepting of people coming over, and the curiosity element is there, we have situations where, you know, that's when they start to play their own material in the bar scene. That's where they start to get a lot of their fans. Right. So yeah, it's that's what you're talking about. And then again, it's harder to judge how much an artist will make at the top end. I put the budgets together for most of the acts coming over, and we kind of sit down together and figure out, okay, well, this is what we're aiming for, this is what we're hoping to achieve. And you know, like, most of them are going to do very well. They're going to do very, very well. Like, they can make a lot of money over there in maybe a 2-3 week run doing theaters in the UK and Ireland. It makes sense. What you're saying to a certain degree is the same thing as here. How much you're going to make depends on how much you put into it and how well you work the crowd, and it's what you're bringing. You know, it's down to commitment, I suppose. A lot of people, I guess, I feel, you know, having an artist myself come over from Ireland to visit the United States, and absolutely so thankful to be able to be here and to be taking part in my career here in the USA right now. You know, I can see the value in actually leaving your own country to go somewhere else. You know, and along with that as well, I've found as well that my successes here in the US has been fantastic for me back in my own territory. So it's kind of, it's not just that you're going over to tour and you're just going over for 2 weeks and you're going, it's all that success. It gives you so much more to talk about when you come back here as well. You know, and it broadens your mind as an artist as well. And it develops you, even if you're a songwriter, the experiences. You know, and that's another thing as well when you're over there. You know, there's so many great writers over there too. We've people coming over, they organize co-writes as well while they're there, and a few radio interviews and all that type of stuff. It's actually one of my favorite artists over here is Steve Earle. Okay. My favorite song he's ever done was one that he co-wrote and recorded while touring in Ireland, and it's called Galway Girl. That's right. Great song. Have you heard it? Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a huge song. That was a smash hit over there. Yeah. You know, and Steve Earle, I think definitely his statistics will show you. You know what I mean? He was like, and still is, you know, all across Europe. He's just huge. Absolutely. Yeah, wonderful song. And it's funny, I mean, I love his writing, but that may be my favorite song of his ever, because I love just that you know, the Irish influence is there. You can hear it. Yeah. You see Steve's writing, but the influence is wonderful. Yeah, it's a timeless song. It is. It is actually. It's something very poetic. Yeah. So, well, we had some questions that were sent in ahead of time. Okay. I want to ask you one or two of those right now from viewers. And one of these was, actually, you've already answered this one. What length of time is good to go over there and play? You had mentioned 2 or 3 weeks. Well, it's kind of up to yourself. You know, typically, most of the artists that we're working with, obviously they've got commitments here or wherever they are, so they've only got a certain amount of time that they can get over there for. It's not necessarily a fact where they can go for as long as we can get them shows or whatever. They'll call us and say, hey, we've got 12 nights to spare. Can you get us some shows in that period of time? And that's what we're doing. And we've you know, they come over and maybe in 12 nights they'll get 10 shows.
That's a lot.
And that's kind of what you would expect to do. You'd expect, I would say, give yourself 14 to 16 days, because don't forget, you're going to take a day to get there and a day to get back, and you're going to be tired from flying as well. So you want to give yourself a little bit of recovery time.
You have to do some sightseeing.
You can't go to Ireland without going to do some
Exactly.
sites. You've got to go to Guinness's brewery, James's Gate.
My favorite beer. My favorite beer. I would love to go there.
Yeah, and so many other great things. But that's typically, it depends again. If you want to be there longer, you'd probably have to be spending a lot more time doing some groundwork and building a brand and developing your fan base and so that you're going to get it. But even my own tour that I'm doing in February, we're doing 8 theater nights, and we start February 12th and we finish up February 21st. And that's my Irish leg. I'll probably do another one probably next October. But that's so I would say probably 14 days is a good time frame to give yourself.
Good. By the way, a friend of mine, Annie B from here in Nashville, went over there and did a summer tour or something 3-4 years ago, and actually wound up having a hit in Ireland and UK. She literally got in the top 10 charts after like a 2-month tour, and it was amazing. I mean, she was thrilled with it. So anyway, customs. What customs and etiquette might I need to be aware of in performing in Ireland and England that would be different from the United States?
It's not all that different. It's, people just want to be entertained. If you're a talented artist and you can hold a crowd and you can engage an audience and entertain them, that's probably more important than anything else. You know what I mean? There's not really anything customized. I suppose, we all speak the English language and certain things can mean different things, if that makes sense. But overall, it's like bars over there, people want to have fun. They want to dance. They want to be entertained. They just
same as here.
It's the same. It's the same thing. I know when I toured with Neil Sedaka back in 2012, we done 10 nights across the UK, and I opened for him. And he's 72, 73 years old, and that was an audience of 3,000 people every night. And you would hear a pin drop. Now, over there, if you're lucky enough to get on a major tour like that opening, when you go inside. When you're playing as the opening act, the theater is full. Everybody is sitting down. You're not allowed to drink beer in most of the theaters that are in, most of them are that way. And it's just everybody has to be in there to hear you. So you get this massive opportunity to sell yourself. Well, you've got that slot.
You know what that sounds like? That reminds me of when you're in a city like Nashville and you go to the Bluebird. That you get real respect from the audience, and they're hanging on every word. It sounds very much like that.
In that scene, it is. But again, the bars are noisy, and in a lot of the bars, it's just like any bar. You're going to be competing with noise and hustle and bustle and all that sort of stuff. But like I say, it's more about getting involved. The one thing about Irish people and people from the UK as well, when they're out having their few beers and their fun, they will engage. They want to be entertained, and I wouldn't undervalue the American accent or the Canadian accent or whatever you have going over there, because that just gives them edge. It gives them major edge straight away that you can get in and start interacting with them, because that's a big deal to be able to do that, and you get them on your side pretty much straight away.
I had almost forgotten about that, but when I first met my wife, I met her and fell in love, and a week later she went over to I think it was Switzerland. And she spent like a month performing in Switzerland and France and Italy. And she said everywhere she went, she said everyone was totally enthralled with the American accent.
Because when you think about it, it's not most of the people that go out over there, they're not going to have an American entertainer performing. In the bars, they're going to be used to it. The guys over there playing are very, very talented, and they do a great job. But to have that edge, and when we're talking, when Audrey is back home, when she's dealing with the bar owners and the managers and the bookers and everything, they're extremely interested. We put everything together and we pitch the artists we have to specific venues. We really take the artist and listen to their sound and we do our research, and we get that, we put it together, we put EP keys together and we send it over to them, and they come back to us and we get them into the bars most suitable for them. So if somebody has a pop sound, you know, we're probably not going to put them into a bar that's maybe favors country. You know, if you know, someone is rock. You know, but then, you know, because of the radio format over there, because it's so crossover anyway, it's not unusual to hear, you know, different genres of music coming out.
I've heard that.
You know, it's kind of because I know here in the States you've got, you know, country radio, you've got rock radio, you've got
very
pop radio, you've got, you know, like there you've got, you know, in the UK you've got BBC Radio 2, which is the big player. Right. You know, and when you study their playlist, yeah, there's a lot of pop in there, but there's also a lot of crossover stuff in there as well. RTE Radio 1 in Ireland.
You know, that's great because, you know, every songwriter that I know of bemoans that fact about American radio today, because when most of us were growing up, they would play, you know, a Johnny Cash song back to back with the Beatles. Yeah. And you can't find a radio station in America that does that anymore. Yeah. How refreshing to, you know, be somewhere where radio was that way again. It's much more creative. Yeah. You know.
That's the other thing as well. You know, I know it's something I'm always asked when I'm talking to clients and artists that we're working for. You know, they're always asking about the differences in radio, and you have to, you know, you could literally, there's different shows on all parts of the day. So you could have at 8 o'clock at night, you could have the country radio show, which goes on for 2-3 hours.
Oh, that's cool.
So if we've got a country artist, that's where we're pitching into, and then as well as that, during the daytime, then you've got, let's say on RT Radio 1, you've got the Ronald Collins show, which you could hear him play anything. You know, you could start off with rock and go to folk and all that sort of stuff.
So we have a question in from Nancy. She wants to know, what type of visa do you need to have to get over there?
You have to get a, Audrey again deals with this back home, and you have to get a temporary artist visa, the same as what any artist would need to come over here. Once you've got bookings in the book, it's very easy to get. It's pretty straightforward, you know.
So it's a temporary, short term.
It's just a temporary, it's just temporary artist visa.
So actually, it would be
so we can give, you know, it's not, it's very inexpensive. It's not a lot, and we can send you where you need to go to get that. You know, you do. It's the only stipulation really with it is you have to have kind of like a sponsor, somebody that has dates put together for you.
Oh, gotcha.
You know, so you can show them that you've got you know, 10 dates or 5 dates or 6 dates or whatever, you know, and it's normally turned around in a couple of days.
Good. Yeah. Well, now we've covered touring. Let's talk about radio. Yeah. So, and actually, you have talked a little bit about radio already. Like, what's radio like over there, and is the money that artists receive different from the money over here in the States?
Well, there's a couple of big differences with it. I suppose, firstly, the royalties payment that everybody is familiar with here is the publishing and songwriters royalty.
Right.
You know, and that's greater over there than what's paid here. You know, after doing my research on it. Now, I'm not an expert on the payments here in the US, but I know from some of the artists I'm working with and that what we get paid over there is a lot more. It's a lot more for play. So like, you know, if you make, like, on average, you know, I know some of the radio stations that I get played on, I think the least I've ever seen come in for play for songwriter royalty is somewhere around 35 cents, which is probably about 40. Yeah, 40. It's decent. You know, now there's all different. I think the radios are all they're gauged on their listener audience and their signal, of course. So Radio 1 has signal of all of Ireland. So it covers north and south, east and west. It covers the whole country. So they're going to be paying the highest rate royalty. And then you've got the smaller radio stations, you know, that are regional in the Midlands and stuff. Right. You know, they're paying the anywhere between 15 to 35, 40 cents. Depends on the time of the day, all that type of stuff. You know, and then when you go to Radio 1, you're talking about maybe up to 40 euros per play. You know, which is a lot. 40 euros, which is about $50.
Right. That's,
you know,
per play, that's a lot
which
more.
Which is a lot. So it's,
you know, I'll bet part of the reason for that is we've got like 300, you know, television cable networks, and that probably fragments the royalty money a lot more. Yeah, probably. Yeah. That probably takes away from radio, I would almost guess. So yeah, I'm blown away by these.
That's one half. Wild. And then there's you have a performance royalty as well. You know, which is a second royalty payment that the label and copyright owner of your actual physical recording, which is called the phonographic performance royalty. Right. And that's a second royalty that's in law over there that gets paid as well. You know, the main thing for artists who are traveling over, and something that's very important for them, is to make sure that they're licensed correctly. So if they have got a record label that's based here in Nashville, and it's copywritten here in Nashville and everything, that's fine. They can still go and have their music played on radio. However, when the collecting agencies are allocating their payments, and if they can't find a registered label with the song, if it's not in their databases, it's just going to go. It's going to be very hard for that money to get paid out. So most importantly, for the artists themselves to make sure that they've got a label that they can license through, which is easy. We do it through our label, and it's super easy to do. Cool. It's not the artist still keeps all their own copyright 100%. We don't take any of that. But
so are your indie clients getting airplay too?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Yeah.
So it's easier to get on radio there, perhaps.
It's tough. You have to be talented. You know what I mean? You have to be talented, and you have to have, your song has to really smash when it hits radio. But there's a general acceptance of good songs and great songs. And there's a lot of great written songs here and very, very well recorded songs here. And, I find that, like, we've been working a long time with a lot of these radio stations, and they're so supportive of what we're doing, because it gives them also the opportunity to get their hands on material that they might not get otherwise. Yeah. So they're getting a chance, and they trust us, and we're bringing good stuff into them, because they probably get thousands of CDs in the mailbox every day, and they're probably not going to be able to open them all. I've got another question here, I think.
Another Twitter question from Dana in Canada. She has a 3-song EP. How do you decide which songs go to radio as singles?
Yeah, that's easy enough. Part of what we do as well. So somebody comes to us and they say, right, we want to go to radio with single, because you might not necessarily go to the European market with the same single as you go with here, because you got 2 different markets. Now, a lot of the time you do, but some of the time you will pick a different single. So I've got, with Brendan and Audrey and myself and the rest of the guys, we've got like 7 or 8 radio people that we really trust. Excuse me, I need to get some water. And they will listen to the songs, and they'll come back to us and they'll give us their input, and then we make a decision with the artist. Like, the artist will have the final say. If there's a song there that they really believe in and they want to go with, they will have the final say. But we do the first, I suppose, most important part of the work that we do, especially when you're talking about going to radio with music, is we spend about 4 to 6 weeks of research, testing, and getting the feedback from the radio stations about, because we got guys that said that we can really trust. They'll come back and say, maybe that song's not going to work, or I like the way this song gets the audience in straight away, or whatever. You know what I mean? So if you've got 3 songs, it's actually a great thing to have, is maybe 3 or 4 songs to come to the table with and say, okay, what's the best option of success with this? Because our goal for the artist is to make this project as successful as possible for them.
Yeah, and you're obviously much more than just a booking agent. You're talking PR legwork. You're talking research, radio promotions.
We kind of would see ourselves as, global music marketing is what we see ourselves eventually becoming. We're specializing in the UK and Ireland right now.
We've got another question in from Chuck on Twitter. What's the best way to handle local transportation and lodging? Okay, well, basically, again, Audrey, who is taking care of a lot of the touring, when we take on a client to help them out get some dates and stuff, we do all the full itinerary. So we get them the best deals out there. You know what I mean? We show them what they can do. Right. So from the time they leave America to when they get there, they'll have pages of the next steps. And it's just like, okay, go from A to B to C to D. Everything is just laid out. So because we've had situations where, it can be very overwhelming for somebody who's going to go to a country that they've never been there before. Yes. You don't know what to expect. And we have it literally step by step the whole way. And we're there as well. We've always got somebody at the end of the phone, even in the event that, something happens, or they miss the bus, or they miss a train, or something doesn't go right. We're there to help out. So that takes a lot of the pressure and the fear out of going over there. I can tell probably the reason why you're so much more complete package than what we normally find is because you are an artist yourself. So you've covered everything because you've been there and you've done it, and you know what needs to be covered. I've been out there for a good few years now doing this, so it's nice to actually have the hands-on experience. So from hits songwriters to up-and-comers, talking about the different levels of songwriting.
Well, I think we've got the artists database that we've signed on there now, the artists that we're actually currently working with. And Bernie Nelson, who of course is a legendary songwriter here in Nashville, he decided, thankfully, to start working with us, and he gave us the opportunity to work with him. And we've been promoting his album Blue overseas since the end of October. And he's just absolutely blown everything out of the loop over there. There's 7 of his songs off the album getting played every day.
Wow.
All across. I think, you know, there's touching on 100 and something stations playing his music now. Wow. You know, even and that was only come to the end of October he started, and we're still only in January. And just last week he went in at #1 on the European Hot Disc chart.
Wow.
He went in at #1 for his song Lonelyville. So, you know, he's getting into a very, very good place, because he's, you know, seen Colin Ray do it. Billy Yates has done it. That, you know, you get there and like they've all used people. Like, obviously I wasn't working for those guys, but they used people before me, and they built their brand, and they're now people that tour they're artists that tour every single year. So Bernie is ready to head in that direction now. So we're looking at getting to the next stage now, which is setting up his tour. And he's got a lot of people out there waiting for him to turn up. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Another question about markets overseas: Spotify versus iTunes.
It varies per country. You know, in Ireland and the UK, iTunes is still the leader in the digital download. You've got Amazon and iTunes, which are still the leaders. My last research, which was a couple of months ago, was I think iTunes had about 55% of the download market over there. Whereas if you look at Sweden is nearly all Spotify. It's 76%.
Really?
Yeah. You know, so it's kind of all that research is so important as well for planning the steps of your career. You need to be able to know, you know, what should be your emphasis per country. You know, you need to know exactly what works. And
here's something else for our listeners that they may not be aware of too. If you actually want to see what's selling on iTunes in Ireland or England right now, open up your iTunes in your computer, and if you look down, I believe it's the lower right-hand corner, you'll see a little tiny American flag. Click on that. And it opens up, and you can click on Ireland and see, and you pick the territory, and you can see what the best selling things are.
That's right.
At the moment, all you know, anywhere, Africa, whatever. But I actually do that a fair amount, just because I enjoy hearing what's happening in Ireland and England and France, and you know. So, now where can we get more information? Where can our listeners get more information about KEMC?
Well, if you go to kemcglobal.com, and you can go onto our website there, and it's a very detailed, very well organized website. You can find your way around it very easily, and you will see there we've got our email is info@kemcmusicmedia.com. That's kemcmusicmedia.com.
And we'll put these links in the comments section, or we'll put them, you know, underneath the video too, so you can see them on the site too at the time. And I mean, we could probably go on for several more hours.
We could stay here all night.
As you're a wealth of information, and it's wonderful to get this and hear this, because I've had friends that have toured over there, but it seemed like a big mystery to a lot of them, or to me, you know. So.
Well, I think the cool thing about what we're doing is the fact that I'm an artist myself, you know, and you know, I'm an independent artist as well, so I kind of know what independent artists need, and my whole company profile has been set up based on what the artist really needs. You know what I mean? It's kind of all from the artist perspective of what's needed, and so far it's looking really good, and it's working very well. And thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be here.
Oh, thanks, Pete. It's been terrific. Contact his company. Go check out the website to get a wealth more information, a wealth of more information. And terrific. Thanks a bunch. And actually, I'm eager to hear some more of your music too. You can hear Pete's music too. Where can we hear your music?
PeteKennedy.net is my band website, and you can go on there and find your way to iTunes and Facebook and Twitter and all those great places.
And actually, I saw that you had a tour upcoming on the website. Didn't you?
So
and they can check out all those spots.
February.
And you can click on the literally the venues and go check out the venues. A wealth of information. Terrific. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you so much.
Been a pleasure. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Take care until next week.